morning. Welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. I'm Brendan Rendo with the Homes in Orlando team, and joined as always by Joseph Dion of Apley Home Loans. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. What's up?
I like the shirt.
Yeah.
Look comfy today.
A little casual.
Well, we got a bunch of stuff to go over today. We got our unemployment numbers this morning. We got the Fed minutes yesterday, which was, a contradiction. Then we got all kinds of housing numbers that are just not impressive. Let's leave it at that. Not impressive. Really, I think it really kind of reflects what we've been saying for the past couple of weeks about most people's feeling on the economy overall. So we're going to hit that. And of course, we got Orlando's numbers as well for the week. So let's hop in. Let's talk about our lovely unemployment number for the week. So our initial claims came in at 215,000, which was a decrease of roughly about 8,000. Right? There weren't any headlines out there about layoffs or anything like that, correct? Right? I mean, nothing.
It's the job market is very, very strong right now, like very strong.
Okay.
I'm summarizing Fauci.
Yeah. So things like this, Disney, Pixar animation, laying off roughly 14% of their workforce. That nothing to see there, And then hold on. I got the restaurant. The restaurant one is amazing.
Wait.
Hold on. Restaurants? Yeah, I got restaurants. Yes. Hold on.
Well, we're going picture.
We got to go through this.
So let's see.
There we go. So this is the news for the restaurants.
Okay, Cracker Barrel, 100 plus, but nobody goes to Cracker Barrel.
No one likes their biscuit and gravy.
Well, you only go to Cracker Barrel if you're traveling.
That's true, because it's right off the exit, right?
So we must be not traveling as much. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Your location's closing. That's bad.
Yeah. Then Buffalo Wild Wings closing.
Chicken wings and beer. Chicken is so expensive now; they probably can't make any more money.
That can be true. Plus, the who watches the playoffs or anything like that anymore?
Nobody. Everybody streams it.
Everybody streams it at home. No need to go out to the bar.
Too. I saw alcohol is down. Consumption is down.
Yes. Then Hardee's is closing the majority of locations.
Can I just be honest? I didn't know they were still open.
I've never been to one.
Hardee's, what's the option to Hardee's? We don't have Hardee's in the Southeast, do we?
I don't think so. I have no idea. I've never been to one. But Red Lobster. We talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Didn't they say they were only closing 40 something locations a month ago, but now they're closing the majority, 700 locations, and now it's actually it's going to be more than that. Yep.
Saw that they are with what's left, they may try and file Chapter 11. Haven't seen where that's going, but that could still be a possibility. Quiznos, a friend of mine actually used to own a couple of their franchises.
Oh my goodness! I used to love Quiznos. That was one of my sub shops.
Yeah. It was a great sub shop. They were always warm. Got the warm subs.
I used to get the chicken carbonara sub.
Yep.
Epitome of health.
Yep. Then you've got Oodles and Noodles. It's closing all their stores.
Oodles of Noodles. Okay.
And Steak and Shake is closing the majority of their stores.
Not Steak and Shake. My kids love the milkshakes from there.
They have the best milkshakes in the world.
Okay, so we got all these places closing, right? And these are fast food chains, right? If you looked at it, kind of I think you say this, Red Lobster, fast casual, a little bit pricier expense, right? You've got Steak and Shake's an affordable place. Hardee's affordable place. Quiznos was an expensive sub shop, but
they weren't cheap. Yeah, but they were good.
I think that's the case. A lot of these places, demand is down because we've seen this. You've seen fast food places say the affordability is no longer there. People aren't going to them anymore because it's not a cheap, quick meal.
Exactly.
If I'm going to spend $12 on a number 5 at McDonald's, I might as well just spend $13 and go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Exactly. And but this is when you watch an economy and you look historically, when how things go into a recession,
Yeah.
a down economy. These are the places that always get hit first.
Yeah.
They always get hit first. And, the Fed here yesterday, their minutes came out, and they keep talking about inflation. They really kind of just overlooked unemployment and what is piling up. Maybe there's not a lot of there's no severance packages in those types of jobs at all. So with all these layoffs, it's got to spike the unemployment number a little bit. I hope everybody's able to find, new places to work.
Well, and I hear me out. This is a little bit crazy concept, and I could be wrong, and I'm lagging like crazy. So hopefully you at least hear me. We no longer live in a marketplace that justifies going on unemployment. What do I mean by that? Like, how much is unemployment right now? Like weekly unemployment. Like it's like 350, 400. Unemployment. I'm going to say this employment rate for. Let's see if we can find it. I don't even know. But you think about it, right? I can go on unemployment. I got to fill out this paperwork. I can do all this stuff, right? Or I can DoorDash on my terms. More. And now I don't have to report to the state agency of who I'm applying for, who I'm doing this, what I'm doing. And if I DoorDash to try to make some money and the state and the state
finds
sees
out,
then they're going to take it out of my unemployment check, right? So then they're not even applying for it, right? So like
that's a very interesting point.
Because I can do DoorDash for 2 nights a week and make the same amount as my unemployment check.
Good point. Gig economy. There's multiple opportunities out there to find different ways to supplement that income. But it's you think some of these people would probably increase a little bit. You know what I mean? The unemployment number.
Oh, here, I just pulled it up, I think. Let me make sure I'm still reading this. So there was what is employment pay? It looks like this can't be accurate. It's saying that it's $275 a week.
Really? No way.
There's no way it can't be that no. Like it can't be that little. Could it?
I don't know. That we gotta check. We gotta check that out.
Yeah, because if that's how much it is, I remember it went to 600 during COVID.
Yeah.
And if it is really only $275 a week, like my gosh, that's nothing.
Yeah. You are better off doing DoorDash.
Yeah. Wow. It says it's $275 a week in Florida. A max rate of $5,400 as of March 27th of 2024. Like, why would you even apply for that?
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
Good point. You wouldn't. It would make no sense whatsoever. Great point. But that is interesting. But here's that point is interesting because here's what the Fed also said about the concern of maybe they didn't raise rates high enough. But officials debated whether the benchmark rate, now at a 23-year high, was pumping the brakes hard enough on the economy that the high interest rates may be having smaller effects than in the past. Great point to go along with your unemployment. Is it changing so much that we're not having the effects? And they bring it up because what they're saying is you have all these people with the mortgages, all these commercial papers with the really low rates that a lot of people are locked in. So it's not hurting, even though the rates are going up. There's certain areas where it would hurt people in the past more. It's not hurting them as much. Is it hurting them in the credit cards? Oh yeah. Is it starting to hurt in the car loans, those areas? Yes, it is. But for millions of Americans who are locked into that 2, 3, 4% mortgage rate, it's not going to hurt them because it's fixed and they're not going anywhere. They're just not going to go anywhere. So, and you're starting to see it, quite honestly, in the housing market. This was interesting because the housing supply has hit the highest level it's seen since 2021. That's, what was our complaint for what, 2021, 2022, and a good portion of 2023? There was no inventory out there.
No inventory
at all. We had no inventory to go to. And now you look at this graph of existing home sales that are available, and we have been on a steady increase for the past couple of years. We currently have 734,000 homes available. So that's one of the highest levels we've seen really since 2020. We're not quite to 2020's level, but man, we're slowly and steadily picking up back up to that level. So we've got that, and then our existing home sales declined again in April. So we got inventory going up, sales going down. That's, as a seller, you got to start looking at that and thinking, man, am I going to have to start pricing tighter? Am I going to have to, I didn't necessarily wanted to paint the interior of my house to sell my house. Maybe I'm going to have to do that now.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe I'm going to have to pull up that carpet and redo that carpet that I really didn't want to do. I thought, 2 years ago I could get away with anything in the house. I mean, that didn't matter. It's just there was a house,
4 walls and a roof.
Roof. It was sold. It was sold.
Now you need 4 walls, new roof.
Yeah. And then we look at the price reductions. Price cuts are rising nationally too. We had roughly 34% of houses on the market take a price cut. That's up from 29% last year. And what have we seen? Days on market from last year. We're double days on market from last year. So everything we're seeing is a continued softening of not only the economy, but especially the housing market. And I'll tell you what, for the first time last week, every email I got from a builder had price cuts on it. Every single one had price cuts on it. I have never seen that. I've seen incentives, but for the first time, every single builder had price cuts.
And the price cuts is the last thing they want to do, because it's the market.
That is the last thing that they will do, is do a price cut. Yep. And then this one came out. This one I wasn't ready for. And this is according to Fitch Ratings, one of the top rating companies in the world. And they're saying that currently most homes in the US are overvalued by 10%.
How did they come up with that? Why overvalued by 10%?
I don't know. But they're coming up with a 10% overage, which to me kind of makes sense, because when we look at the rates now and we look at the house values and we look at affordability, I can see, you remember we've said something's got to break. Something's got to break. It's either got to be the interest rates or it's got to be the prices. This is saying it's the prices, that the prices really have got to come down at least 10% in order to level things out. So that's an interesting one. And then we've got vacation home demand. These are the second homes. These are the Airbnbs that are out there. We're seeing that demand is now hitting a 6-year low as well. So it's just a lot of news that's out there in the housing market that is saying that, we're in for a continued rough time over the next, I would say, year or so at least, until the Fed comes up with some reason to cut rates. And I don't know, I'm starting to wonder if they're waiting for the unemployment rate to bounce up to be able.
I don't know. I think the Feds are going to hold here longer, and we're in a weird, I would say, economy as a whole, because everything we've done in the last, I would say, decade, corporate kind of to improve businesses spending money, right? We, which is going to spur more hiring, this and that. But kind of if you've seen what's happened with everything in the policies that we did the PPP loans, which helps corporations, we do this, and it all is supposed to trickle down to the end consumer. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is you're sitting with what right now? You're sitting with corporations, highest profitability ever, highest profit percentage, highest revenue percentages ever, right? And even though inflation's increasing, what are corporations doing? They're not slimming their margins. They're just passing it to the consumer.
They're passing it right through.
The consumer has been spending it, right? So the consumer is getting pinched in all of this. Like, you and me, the average person, what's going to change there? I don't know. Like, are we going to see, and I'm not saying like I think a lot of what was done was intelligent at the time, but I'm starting to see like everything has a cause and effect where all the good that we saw, well, now we're going to see the negative from that now. And how much we see, well, that's going to depend on what these businesses do. And I can tell you what, if you're if you're a multi-billionaire, you're not trying to lose those billions.
Nope.
It's like, and we said this before, and I said the have and the have-nots will widen further and further.
And that's really what you're seeing. Is that bigger spread overall. Yeah. And I know when you're sitting there trying to figure out how to put somebody into a house, and you're crunching those numbers, it can get very frustrating because you want to help these people, and then you can only get them qualified for 300, and there's nothing there, and you've got to get them, even getting them to 350, can be tough. And then you're sitting and you're watching the rate market because hey, if the rates come down 0.25%, all of a sudden I can make it work for them. And then so now we've got this window of, okay, Joe, let's lock it in for 30 days and let's go hammer it. Let's make sure they're all set up, all their paperwork's done. Guys, hey, we can lock you in today. It gives us, we can lock for 30 or 45 days, but we're going to have to get out there and we're going to have to find the right house. So it's making it tough in a lot of situations to really, help the people. And I can't tell you how many this blows my mind. How many build to rent developments are popping up around Orlando right now? There's one, my mom lives in Mount Dora. Taylor Morrison's going to be building a brand new one. They just got it approved up in Mount Dora, build to rent. There's one out by Apopka Airport, build to rent. There's a new one going up in Deltona, build to rent. But all 50 states right now, it's actually cheaper to rent than it is to own.
Don't say that.
It's actually true. It's frustrating. I mean, when you're sitting there going, okay, I can have a $3,000 rental payment or pay $4,500 in a mortgage payment. People weigh that, and it's gonna hold back a number of people from buying that home.
Yeah. And especially like you see some of the stuff in the news, like it's really, really hard to confidently go it's hard to be like, what direction makes the most sense? And then you get a little bit of paralysis of, okay, I'm just going to sit on the sideline. I don't want to make a decision.
And I think that's what we see a lot. I mean, every time we see a swing of like a quarter point down, it seems like we get a bunch of people off the sidelines. Like, oh, it's down a quarter point. I can save this, it saves them, couple $100 a month in a payment. That's just enough to get them over the edge. Just enough to get them over the edge. But you can feel the bent up frustration. I think that's one reason why we're seeing more homes hit the market as well, is because these sellers have held off as long as they possibly can. Okay, I've got to sell. I actually have to sell. And I think that's why we've seen the inventory go up. Yep. But then we get into the cost of buying. And you and I were looking at this one this morning, and we both felt a little bit better because this is the most expensive states for home insurance in 2024.
Wow. Florida. How is Florida like? I'm sorry. Louisiana.
Florida is, surprise,
Right?
surprise, number one, right? And the average home insurance for 2023 was $11,000, $10,996.
I feel better about what we pay, but we live in central Florida. Like we're in the
Yeah.
middle. We're the beaches and all that, and that's what's exposed, right? Like
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
I feel bad for those
Yeah.
guys, but
Their estimation for this year, it's going to jump to 11,759 increase in a year. So pray we don't have a storm this year, because
yeah.
that's going to go higher.
Yeah. Well, I think what we're going to see is like, and we're going to continue to see. I think if we don't even see a storm, we're going to see it go higher. So I was talking to an insurance agent, and I'd love to, and this is something, Brendan, that I think would be really good for you to get some more info on. But like the state and federally caps how much people can increase property taxes, or not property taxes, homeowners insurance rates, right? Some a certain amount every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody sat there and said, well, why do you think insurance companies enter and leave markets so frequently? Because if you completely leave the market, when you come back to said market, you now get to reset your base.
Your prices.
So if it got more expensive, you're not stuck to that lower rate. So I think what we're going to continue to see in Florida, in my mind, is I think we're going to continue to see companies exit and enter, and we're going to see a revolving door for a little bit until they get that. I mean, they're already at stupid high amounts, but again, these are companies like, what do we say? Insurance companies aren't there to protect like the homeowners.
No.
They're there to make a profit.
Yep.
Like anybody that thinks insurance is there to protect you is stupid. No, they're there to make a profit.
Yep.
And here's the key. How are they going to make sure they make a profit? Well, they got to make sure they're getting the most premiums possible. So when they have a storm or something and they have a payout, it's a reason for them to get out, to wait, to create a new subsidy, because a lot of these companies, if you look back, they're just subsidies and they're owned by bigger insurance companies. Yes. So you got these tiny little insurance companies that you're like, who the heck are you? But you end up finding out, if you follow the paper trail, that they're actually owned by one of these major players.
Yep.
Reset the market.
It's called a reinsurance market. And it's amazing, because the policy is reinsured and reinsured and reinsured and reinsured and reinsured. My former father-in-law was executive of Blue Cross Blue Shield, and he explained it to me one day, and I'm like, holy cow. Because health insurance is the same way. They paid the policy, but they actually bought their own policies to reinsure their policies, so that, and those people bought to reinsure their policies, so that it was just, okay, I don't really get it, but I get it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's amazing. But that's, I mean, you look at us. I mean, we're on average, what is that? About $3,000 higher than the next highest state, which is Louisiana, which I can understand because they get hit with a lot of storms as well.
Yep.
So
Oklahoma, tornadoes, Texas.
Yep. Texas.
I don't know why Texas. I guess storms. I guess they have been getting a lot of bad storms.
So let's hop into our numbers for the week for Orlando. Really kind of just a very steady week. We had 423 sales for the week. Not much change from the previous week. This was interesting that the number of foreclosure transactions jumped to 5.
Interesting.
That's the biggest number I've seen in a couple of years. So that was interesting. But that also goes to looking at the top U.S. counties for foreclosures right now. We got 2 of the top 10, Miami-Dade and Broward County right now, are in the top 10 for foreclosure starts in April.
Oh.
And I think, when you look at, I know a lot of people are getting affected, are starting to look to leave strictly because of those insurance costs we just went through. They can't afford that much of a jump. I mean, some of them, my gosh, they're taking $500, $600, $700 a month jumps in their insurance payments. So you got people who are on fixed incomes, that are looking and saying, I can't afford to live in Florida anymore, not with these insurance payments.
Yeah.
So we got that. Inventory continues to increase. We're up about 85. Condos, still sitting there at that low level, around the one, right around that 150 mark. Okay. And again, inventory continues to increase. And then looking at our months of inventory, overall, we went up a little bit to 3.43. But this is interesting. Over in the $1 million, we are at 6 months of inventory in $1 million homes right now. So that's a buyer's market. That old school, that qualifies as a buyer's market right there.
Yep. 100%.
Yep. Then our original to list and our final to list, those numbers are staying pretty steady. 96.5, that's actually a little bit better. But I also think that we're starting to see prices be tightened overall. People not being as aggressive in their pricing of their original listings. Average days on market, 46. That's staying steady. And then you see graphically, we are pretty much consistent right around that 400 mark in Orlando per week, right there. And then our average sales price and our median sales price really over the past year or since January really hasn't moved a whole heck of a lot. Had a couple peaks, came back down, a little bit of a peak, but fairly steady overall. And you see again, average days on market, start to hit that spring, you expect this to drop a little bit, but then the inventory, we're up over 15% since January. That's a good solid increase in the number of homes that are available. And this doesn't count this doesn't count the builder's inventory either, because a lot of that isn't in the MLS. Hop into the condo market, months of inventory, right there, 4.97, almost 5 months worth of inventory. Then look up here at the 500 to $1 million. You've got almost 10 months of inventory. Wow. There's nothing selling up there. You got 329 active listings in that price range. And man, they are not selling. Yep. Days on market did drop a little bit. That could be some of the newer listings that came out, better quality than what we've seen sitting on the market. Then weekly sales, again, you see, right there, 129. We kind of come up a little bit to about 150. That's a little bit better overall, but not where you see a real average market in Orlando. And it's happening all over Florida. I mean, it's not just here. All the condos throughout Florida are just in the doldrums, absolute doldrums, sales-wise. Then look at this inventory. It's like going up a roller coaster, getting ready to go over the other side. 27% increase in condo inventory since the beginning of the year. That's a lot of homes.
Yeah.
A lot of homes. So that's where our market is this week. We'll see what economic news comes out next week. It's going to be an interesting summer, I think, Joe. I think it's going to be a very interesting summer, especially as we get closer to the election. Be interesting to see what happens.
What do we have? We got manufacturing numbers coming out in a few minutes, I think. Or no, they already came out. New home sales already came out. What's up? I guess the next one is going to be Fed Bostic going to be doing a little Q&A at 3, 4, 5 p.m.
Let's see how it swings. NVIDIA came out last night.
Yeah.
And everybody was partying like it was 1999.
I think, it was funny. You saw NVIDIA pretty much everybody was waiting for it, right? You take S&P 500 is actually red yesterday on the Fed's saying that, hey, rates will be higher for longer. We don't have inflation control, like all the minute notes. Yep. And then NVIDIA didn't just wipe it out, but the market opened up almost 1% this morning, the S&P 500.
Yep.
And that was on NVIDIA news. And NVIDIA's holding firm, but everything else seems to be selling off. So
it's amazing how one company has that much power over the market right now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's that tech sector right now, right?
Yep. AI.
Yeah. So
AI.
it's going to be really interesting to see how much longer that we see the markets propped up. You still look at it, JP Morgan Chase, their analysts are still predicting up to a 20% pullback in the S&P 500 within the year.
Citi came out last night with some very interesting warnings about where they could see things going.
And so
I know Jamie Dimon keeps like, hey guys, hey, come on, wake up. And nobody wants to seem to actually listen to him.
I get it. Like, it's tough. Like you want the market to keep going up, right? Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people's retirements that are tight. And you think about like S&P 500, all these ETFs, this is where everybody's 401k money is going.
Yep.
It's like they have to keep pumping, because what happens, and let's be real, like what happens if SPY goes down 20% and you see people's 401k slashed? Like, now everybody's going to forget that they saw like 40% growth in SPY in the last year. Right? Like, they're going to forget those type of things, but it's going to feel like it's like, oh, I had 1 million, now I have 800.
800, yep. It's no different than the people with these homes who made $300,000, $400,000 on their home, and we had a little pullback, and they lost, they lost something they never had, like $50,000, and you're going to make 350. I wanted 4. Well, you're making 350, but I wanted 4.
But you've only owned the house for 3 years. You're up 90%.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, subscribe, join us again next Thursday. We look forward to having you with us. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
Rock it out, guys.